today. Sophie, it's great to have you back on the show again. First of all, can you tell us why did 2GB decide not to be so conservative?
Well, Andrew, I think they had a winning formula, and as Steve Price put it to me when I wrote this article in The Australian, they blew it up. Nine Radio blew it up. When they took over Macquarie Media, they got in there and they changed the winning formula that they had. As you said, Alan Jones was just an absolute success with 226 survey wins, and they've changed their entire lineup on 2GB. Except for Ray Hadley, and it's cost them. And the result of this is them bowing to leftist activist groups such as Sleeping Giants and Mad Witches. And as John Singleton put it to me, they've become incredibly soft, and this is costing them. It's costing them listeners, and there's no longer that strong conservative station that 2GB once was.
I can't believe that some of the talent they've got on that show are rating like 6th or 7th in their time slots. I mean, this is just quite odd. Is there any panic over there about this?
Well, Andrew, I've been told that there was pretty serious talks last week after the survey results came out internally at Nine Radio. There's concerns because they're falling down in the ratings in their drive and afternoon slots. And Ben Fordham also is at risk of losing #1 position, which would be disastrous for Nine Radio. He's got ABC nipping at his heels, and remembering that ABC doesn't take any advertising whatsoever, 2GB could be in a bit of strife here. But I guess on the upside, their radio station in Melbourne, 3AW, has remained incredibly strong. But Andrew, they haven't changed their lineup there really at all. Neil Mitchell, Ross Stevenson have been there a very long time, and it's working wonders for them.
Yeah, but I have to point out, of course, that Melbourne is different, and 3AW has never been a sort of conservative powerhouse. They're trying to be a little bit more fence city, and maybe for that city it works. But the whole idea was to be more advertiser friendly because of these far left groups who are threatening advertisers, and weak advertisers thinking they actually represented more than a dozen people sitting around lounge rooms in their underwear, and caved in and put pressure on 2GB, which folded. Has the strategy actually worked? Has it become more profitable as a consequence?
Look, Andrew, I don't think it is working for them because there's been talks internally of what is going on. There's pressure on them. They're losing listeners. As John Singleton put it to me when I spoke to him on the weekend, he said that he's concerned that these big companies have become incredibly weak. They're bowing to these groups and they're pulling their advertising consequently. And he said for people who work in these companies, a lot of them don't own them. So they have their cushy jobs, they have their big salaries, and they don't want trouble, Andrew. So the easy option is to pull the advertising and avoid the social media storm. But you've got to remember, it's a tiny little echo chamber of activists that are causing these problems for stations such as 2GB.
Sophie, talking about bias, the big social media giants also, of course, lean left. Twitter and Facebook have banned even former US President Donald Trump from posting, and now Google's head of diversity, I mean, you can't hardly get bigger than Google. Its head of diversity, Kamal Bob, has been moved sideways after he was exposed as the author of an incredible anti-Jewish blog post 4 years ago, where he said, among other things, if I were a Jew, I would be concerned about my insatiable appetite for war and killing in defence of myself. How does this man even still have a job? Or is anti-Semitism now the acceptable racism of the left?
Well, he obviously knows the right people, Andrew. I mean, he's been moved sideways. He's still got a job there. It's really quite incredible. So they're selective in who they, boot out of the place and what's acceptable and what's not. But clearly this is not acceptable. And this man still has employment with them. It's bizarre, to be honest, and it's ridiculous.
Absolutely. Meanwhile, England just stands aside a cricketer for social posting made when he was 18. Anyway, Sophie Elsworth, thank you for your time.
Thank you, Andrew.